Hey everyone, this is Lad here at RenewTech Solutions with theultimateknife.com, and today we are going to go over some tips and tricks on how to make this already amazing knife even better and easier to use. By the way, if you haven't been to our site yet, when you get a chance, go there and take a look through our entire product line. The knife and the flashlight collection that we have and the companies that we represent are just bar none the best that you're going to find. Also, just want to add that we are the sole national distributors of the FOX Karambit Knife. Plus, we're also accredited with the Better Business Bureau. Now, before we get into the tips and tricks, guys, I do want to be able to show you something between Ernie Emerson's Combat Karambit and the FOX Karambit Knife, and that is the G10 board. Now, with Ernie Emerson's board, as you can see, by comparison to the FOX Karambit Knife, his crosshatch design isn't as high or as deep. Now, personally to me, I haven't really found much difference, although there is a slight difference in its grippier feel with the FOX Karambit over Ernie Emerson's. But when it comes to performance, I think personally they both perform the same way. As a result of the FOX Karambit knife having a higher and deeper crosshatch design, what we're going to do is actually kind of go over how to be able to make this thing deploy a little bit smoother. And now, mind you, this isn't something that's mandatory that you have to do. This is just something that we're just providing for better ease of use. That's all. Something else, guys, that I want to mention before I go any further into this project is, please make sure you know which side that you're going to want to sand. And the reason why I say this, and I am going to zoom out a little bit on this because I want you to see more in full of what I'm talking about. When you're working on a project like this and you want to decide what side you're going to sand it on, as you can see up a little closer here, you can see that you do have the ability to be able to put the clip on either side. You're going to want to make a decision. Do I want to have this thing held in reverse, deploying from my right hand? Because it already is in this default position on the right side when it's shipped to you, when you deploy it from your right hand. Or if you want to hold it on your left hand, it's already clipped on that side, again, if you want to hold it on your left hand. All right? Now, you can put it on this side, and if you do that, then holding it forward with your right hand will be more in this motion, and then holding it in reverse this way will be in this position, okay? So, again, make sure you know which side it's going to be on. And if you're confused at all you have to do, if you want to contact us, you can. We're actually going to have our next video. It's going to show you a little bit of deployment features. It's probably going to be the second or third video that we're going to be doing after this one. So it can kind of show you a little bit about how to position your knife, so you can look through the library of videos that we're going to provide. First, oiling the knife. Now, there's a lot of opinions out there on whether or not you should be oiling this thing a few times or many times a year, depends, or what kind of lubricant and or oil you should be using. Now, this is all based on the conditions you expose it to. Some of us work in very arid, dry, dusty conditions on a daily basis, or some of us are exposed to high humid, wet conditions on a daily basis. And you may not be deploying it as much or using it as much, or you might be using it a lot. Again, it all depends. What I would do is actually Google knife oil. That's it. Two simple words, knife oil. And you'll find a plethora of websites that you can actually peruse through. Call the companies yourself, find out through what it is that you're exposing the knife to, and they'll be able to tell you all the pros and cons of their products and what's going to be best suited for your particular condition that you're exposing it to. Now, I will say this is what I'm really going to be talking about, is now that you've made the decision on what lubricant you're going to use, is to now open up the knife in its locked position and make sure you have a napkin or two underneath so you're not exposing it to any kind of leakage anywhere else that you don't want to stain it on. So here's where you're going to put the oil on either side of the blade. Now, you do have the base part of the G10 board here and the blade, and where in between that space where they meet is where the washer is at the apex of where the screw is. You're just going to only add usually 1 or 2 drops down this area, and then once you're done and let gravity do its job by hitting into that area, you're going to flip it over and you are going to apply one drop or two drops on the other side, and again, let gravity do its job. Once it hits into that area, all you have to do then is close it and open it a few times, and you're pretty much done because it's now lubricated. And that's pretty much it. Let's get into now the sanding of the G10 board. Now, guys, where the roughness, and I'm going to bring this up a little bit so you can see this, where the contact of where the clip meets on the G10 is what I'm going to be mainly talking about and where we're going to be sanding it. Now, I am going to bring this thing up a little bit closer so you can see where I'm going to be sanding it. And I am going to be taping it off between the end of the clip and where the base of the clip is, okay? Now, some of the household items that a lot of you already have that you're going to need for this small project, and literally this is only going to take about 10 minutes, is masking tape. Now, this is painter's tape. I've decided to use painter's tape. You can use masking tape, same difference. I did use duct tape one time, and it was a little bit hard and gooey to pluck all that stuff off. So you may want to go the route of using masking or painter's tape. So, and like I said, you may already have it in your house, and so you won't have to go out and buy it. The other thing that you are going to need is a Torx screwdriver. Now, a lot of guys will probably have one already. I had to go buy it, and it only costs about $5. And it's a small little kit. You can get it at Home Depot or you can get it at Lowe's. They have two different types, but they basically do have the same features. They'll have extra nibs, 2 on each side for a total of 8 nibs, and where you can actually find the extra nibs are on the end part of the screwdriver. And they go from T4 in size, from real small, to T15. That's the largest size. Now, the one that we're going to be using for this project is the T6 nib. And it's a 6-edge nib, okay? It's not your typical Phillips screwdriver, so please don't use that, or straight edge, you know, flat, I should say straight edge, flat edge screwdriver. Guys, it's not going to work. You are definitely going to need to get a Torx screwdriver. And like I said, for this project, a T6 is what you're going to need. Now, the next thing you're going to need is sandpaper. Now, you can use 200 or 600 grit if you'd like. You don't have to have 600 grit. Now, I use 600 grit at the end to kind of smooth it out a little bit. If you have it, use it. If you don't have it, like I said, you don't necessarily have to have it. 200, 400 grit will work just as fine, guys. And if that's all you got, just use what you got. Cut off a little square too. This is all the size that you're going to need for it. And lastly, guys, this is not mandatory. This is just something that I just wanted to add as an extra. But if you want to use thread locker, Loctite thread locker Blue 242 is what you would want to use for a project like this, or any other project if you're wanting to tighten it on there to make sure that it stays in there. But it already is pre-glued, and it's permanent glue that's on the end of the thread of the screws themselves, so you don't really need it if you don't want it. But if you just wanted to use it, you can if you like. What we're going to do now is we're going to go into, and I'm going to kind of bring it up a little bit so you can actually see it a little bit closer while I work on this project. I'm going to start working on taping off the ends to show you exactly where you're going to need to tape it. Okay, guys, what you're going to want to start doing here is taping off the end, okay? And as you can see over here, and I think I'm close enough already so you can see this, you can see where the clip ends. That's exactly where you're going to put the tape, okay, to begin with, all right? You're going to put the tape and you're going to wrap it around, guys. Make sure it's secure and it's not going to go anywhere, all right? That's all you have to do. It's pretty simple on that end. Now, the next one that you're going to tape over is just the blade, okay? You're not going to want to tape over onto the G10 board. You're going to just want to tape the blade. And the reason why, after I'm done, I'm going to show you why I'm saying this. Because you want to leave that grooved part, you want to leave that exposed, okay? So when you sand it, you're not blocking off any part of the G10 board that you want sanded down, okay? Now the last part is going to be where the screws are. But first, we got to take the screws out. Now the T6 nib that I'm using on my Torx screwdriver is what you're going to want to use again. And as I'm unscrewing this, guys, I want you to pay attention to something, okay? I'm starting to wiggle this a little bit, and I'm doing that for a reason, because these things are really in there, okay? And it's not that difficult to take out. You just have to wiggle it sometimes to get it out. And I'm trying to keep it where all the screws stay in the clip as I'm doing this. Now, there is one added feature of something that we are going to have to unscrew, and that is the two screws that are on the back of the spine of the knife, whichever side that you're going to want to remove. And the reason why I'm doing this is because when you sand this down like I did on my other knife by mistake, I didn't realize it, but once I was done sanding it, the black paint that's on the heads of these screws, well, it obviously came off. And so now they're nice and shiny. But I was able to actually replace them later on. But I will say this, if you want to be able to save that from happening, all you have to do is just unscrew and remove, guys. It's just that simple. It's not hard at all. And it's not going to displace at all the G10 board that's on here, because there are other screws that are holding it in place. So it's not going to displace it at all in any way. All right. So once this is gone, now all you have to do is tape it. Now where you are going to tape it here, and I'll bring this up a little bit so you can see it a little bit, is right at the base of where the groove is, of where the 3 screws is. You're going to tape it right here. Okay, right at the base. So this is how it's going to look when you tape it. That's it, guys. You're going to tape it just like that. Okay? And you're just going to wrap it around, and you're pretty much prepped and ready for sanding. Now this is the area that's just going to be sanded. So all you're going to do is just start sanding, and that's it. Now I cannot touch this particular knife because I got a reserve for another customer, and I don't know whether or not he's left or right-handed, and he's wanting me to sand it down. I forgot to ask him that, so I'm going to be doing that, but I am going to show you the finished product. Okay, so let me remove the screws and the blade here, and I'm going to show you my particular finished product, and my personal knife that I've had now for about 9 or 10 months here. So here we go, guys. I'm going to kind of bring this up a little bit closer so you can kind of see the difference in where I've sanded it and where the spot that hasn't been sanded you can see. As you can see over here, the G10 crosshatch design there has not been affected of where I've taped it. But from this point all the way back to the base is where I sanded it. As you can tell, I removed those screws, so that part never got sanded. But guys, I can tell you right now, it's fantastic. It deploys like I've had this thing for months. It really does make a big difference. And guess what? On the other side, nothing has been removed. So the grippy feel that I have when I hold the knife is really there, guys. And that grip feel is perfect. And it does not affect at all the performance. It actually makes it even better. So guys, this is it. We're done. I pretty much showed you exactly what to do. And if, like I said, if you need a finishing touch to put in a drop of thread locker, guys, this is one thing I do want to make a mention of. Be careful if this is the route you do want to go. Like I said, you don't have to, but if you do, be very careful with this, because you're going to want to use quite a few napkins. This stuff will stain, and this is very, very thin in its consistency. It's like water. Actually, I think it's even it's even thinner than water to me, because I mean, I barely even touch it or squeeze the bottle, and this stuff pours out. So be very careful when you use it, okay? Other than that, guys, we're done. I want to thank you for this time, for coming, watching this, and I hope it's been helpful. We are going to go into the do's and do not do's about looking for the right FOX and Ernie Emerson Karambit knife, and we're going to be talking specifically about duplicates, guys. There's a lot of Chinese manufacturers out there that are making dupes of Ernie Emerson's knife and the FOX Karambit knife now, and I'm going to show you a small video of what it is that you want to be careful of and the reasons why not to purchase those knives. So it's kind of humorous, but in all seriousness, it is really something to be careful of. Hence the reason why we are the sole national distributors of the FOX Karambit knife, and we really take pride in that, and we're very careful about making sure that you guys get the best quality knife that's direct from Fox themselves, as well as Ernie Emerson's company as well. All right, well, again, thanks again for your time. I hope you make your week awesome. Take care, guys. Later.